Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dakota's Political Circle. And finally, I have the deep dive into the U.S. Senate election results. Finally, PA was finally called. It was the only state left that took forever, mainly because of Bob Casey not conceding. That's the main reason, but behind it. And that's a big reason why I didn't make this video yet, because I was waiting for the New York Times to call it. And Bob Casey did concede, so it is official that all of the races have officially been called and everything like that. So I'll be doing a deep dive right now into it. And also, guys, I hope you guys do enjoy this video. This is definitely the last deep dive I'm doing. I believe I already did presidential, House, and this is going to be Senate. I will be doing a deep dive on the cabinet picks for Trump, but that's different than election result, like that instead. But anyway, let's get into it. So let's start with certain battleground states. So let's go with let's start with some basic ones first. So let's go with Montana. Montana was won by Tim Sheehy, 53% to 45% of Jon Tester. And if you look right here, actually, it was expected to be a 7.7 win. So Sheehy did underperform a little bit. He did underperform a tiny bit, but Sheehy overwhelmingly won by a big margin. Honestly, I expected him to win by more. I was kind of surprised because in my election prediction video, I did say Sheehy was going to win by possibly a safe margin and maybe a likely margin. I can't remember exactly what I put in the end, but I think I said safe margin at one point, but then I switched it around. But he did not get a safe margin, but he did do really, really well. He did get over 7 points. He won the state very, very well over an incumbent in Tester. So that's a good job by Sheehy there. Something that was expected, but it is interesting to see that someone as a Democrat incumbent in the state of Montana did actually not have a competitiveness at the time. And then I also want to talk about Texas. So Ted Cruz did phenomenally in Texas. Even in the bottom counties here, he did an amazing job, especially on the border, which is very surprising because usually Ted Cruz is not liked throughout the entire state of Texas. So him actually winning border counties is a massive improvement for Ted Cruz, 53 to 44. And remember, he was a lot of people didn't think he was going to do that well, like 4.4 for Ted Cruz, and he actually ended up getting 8.6. That's a massive improvement for Ted Cruz. Something I did not expect. I actually thought he was going to do worse because Ted Cruz in Texas is very polarizing. So it is a big surprise that Ted Cruz was actually able to pull it out in a massive amount. I'm not sure if it shows it right here. I just want to see Texas for Trump. Yeah, so Trump overperformed Ted Cruz, obviously, by a massive amount. Remember, 14 points. So Ted Cruz did do under what Trump did, but he did way better than what I expected. I thought Ted Cruz was going to have like a lean margin. He got in a likely margin, did a great job. So I'm really, really proud of Ted Cruz for that. And then let's look at Florida. A lot of people thought, oh, Florida's going to get close with Rick Scott. Florida's going to get close with Rick Scott. Well, look right here, 56% to 43, literally a little bit better than Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz did phenomenally. So if you look right here, Scott was expected to have 4.6. I thought he was going to do like a sizable improvement, maybe 8, 9 points, maybe 10, and he actually got 12.8. Like that's just a massive improvement. Everyone's starting to love Rick Scott, awesome incumbent, not an amazing governor, but he has made several improvements and did a great job. So I think that's a massive thing to show, especially in a state like Florida, a former battleground state. Now look at Trump. I just want to show you real quick. Trump did almost in line with a little bit better, in line with Rick Scott. So I mean, massive improvement for both ends, like a literal safe margin in the state of Florida when it comes to a Senate race, or even a presidential. Like that's just insane to see. And then I will also bring up my state of West Virginia. I just want to bring it up because obviously we technically did have Joe Manchin in before that, but he did end up retiring. But I do want to talk about it temporarily because this was a pickup for the Republicans. So if you look right here, it was expected to be a 34-point win by Justice. Justice did an incredible and won by 41 in a state like West Virginia. Now West Virginia obviously is a massive red state, but it is interesting to see when you don't have Joe Manchin in there anymore. it is literally like a 69% to 28. Like, that's just insane. Even if Joe Manchin wasn't, I still think Justice would have done a massive job, probably around a 20-point margin, because of how much Justice is liked in the state of West Virginia. So that's a huge pickup for the Senate. But I did want to temporarily talk about that, even though it doesn't really matter too much. It's just mainly just a pickup, even though Joe Manchin wasn't in this time. And then let's go to the state of Ohio. This is also a big one here. Bernie Moreno did exactly what I expected. I thought he was going to do better. I believe I said he was going to do a lean margin, which he did technically have a lean margin, but it was closer than I expected. But he did do really well. A lot of Dems thought Sherrod Brown was going to easily win this race, but Bernie Moreno came out and won by 50% to 46. And if you look right here, he was expected to win by 1.7. He got a 3.6 margin. So he did a really, really great job in a state that usually does really well for Brown. Like, Brown in the past elections has always overperformed, I believe. So, like if I show you right here in 2018, for example, he did technically he underperformed, but he didn't underperform by much. And literally Moreno overperformed by a decent amount, like 2 points. Around 2 points. So like 3.6 to 1.17 is just an amazing thing to see for something like Bernie Moreno. And then if you look right here, Atlas did amazing with their polling, got a +3 for Moreno. Like, that's just awesome. So Moreno did secure Ohio, which is really, really awesome to see here. Then let's go to I want to get Pennsylvania last to talk about that because it's the most important one. Let's actually talk about I want to talk a little bit about I want to talk about Virginia for a small amount, and also Maryland, just a tiny bit. I know it's not too much to talk about, but Kaine did underperform, which is kind of surprising. It just shows that Virginia is starting to shift to the right. Now, obviously, for obvious reasons, Kaine didn't win. Kaine won, obviously. And also, technically, Harris overperformed Virginia, which is very odd. But with Kaine, he did underperform Cal. Like, that's just really, really awesome. Like, I mean, in the future, quite possibly, you might see Virginia turn red. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. It might take a long time. But I do think in the future, Virginia will turn red. But for now, it is awesome to see that at least there was some type of gain when it came to the Senate race in Virginia. And then when you look at Maryland here, 54% to 43% with Larry Hogan. He lost. And just like I expected, Larry Hogan... And honestly, it was more than I actually expected because Alsobrooke, on average, got around 7 or more points. And I thought Hogan was going to overperform, but not win. But actually, he did pretty horrible. He literally did absolutely atrocious. I thought he was going to have maybe an Alsobrooks +3 or so because I thought Larry Hogan was very likable in the state of Maryland. But no, he's very disliked when it comes to the Senate level. So, I mean, I knew either way it was going to go to the Dems. But it is surprising to see how much Maryland literally doesn't want a Republican regardless in the Senate, even if it is someone they very much like as a governor. That's interesting as well. And then let's bring up the state of let's talk about Arizona actually. So Arizona, it's surprising but also kind of annoying like usual. So Ruben Gallego did end up winning over Kari Lake. But a very, very close margin. But this is just what I think about Kari Lake. Like, every single time, Kari Lake always does what Kari Lake does. Always screws up, doesn't do well. And when she does do well, it's very, very close, but she never can pull it off. She's just a candidate that isn't liked in Arizona. And it was shown that it was true. Like, literally, the RCP average had Gallego at 2.6. And then the current results that actually ended up happening was 2.4. Now, I did think Gallego was going to do way better than what was actually expected. So Kari Lake did do pretty well in a way. But at the same time, Kari Lake, like usual, always does horrible. And then if you look right here, if I show you right here how Trump did compared, you have Trump winning the state by 5.5. Like, literally, Kari Lake is that much hated in Arizona that literally they wanted Gallego over her. So it's just crazy to see. Just never run Kari Lake again, in my opinion. It's just not a good idea. She's not going to win regardless in the state of Arizona. And maybe a House race. She could possibly win a House race. She could try to win the governorship, but she's not going to win a federal office level like Senate So I just don't see it happening. Maybe a House race. I think she could do well in a House race, but I don't see her actually winning something that big. I also want to bring up Nebraska. This is actually really interesting. So if you look at Nebraska here, I'm not sure if I can find it on this map. I mainly want to talk about the Nebraska special. Yeah, this one. So Fisher and Osborne were going to be like a 7 or a 2. And then what actually happened was really, really interesting to see here. So it was in line with polling, but it is interesting to see how much Debbie Fisher had to fight off Dana Osborne, like 53% to 47% against a nonpartisan opponent in the state of Nebraska. It shows that a lot of people did like Dan Osborne. So honestly, it is surprising to see someone like Dan Osborne do that well in a state like that. Luckily, Deb Fisher did end up winning, but it is something to talk about because it just shows that a lot of people in Nebraska do not like Deb Fisher. She is an establishment Republican. Now, she does listen to Trump, but she is a very establishment Republican. So a lot of people are really getting tired of it. So someone like Dan Osborne had a chance at winning. Obviously, he didn't end up winning, but I guarantee you if Trump did endorse him for whatever reason, I guarantee you he would have won no matter what. But obviously, I don't support Dan Osborne, but I'm just saying if he did get some type of massive support, he would have won this race, and it would have been the biggest surprise of the election. And then another big surprise, one that was just so insane that it's just so sad it happened. Like, it's just so depressing. Nevada. Sam Brown lost by around a point or so. If you look right here, Sam Brown, he almost overcame all odds, 1.7. So Rosen was up by almost 5. I thought Rosen was going to demolish Brown in the election when it came to it. I didn't think Brown was going to overperform whatsoever. But he came up to 1.7. He was so close to winning this race. It was so close to happening, but he just didn't end up doing it. And then if you look at the presidential level, Trump won by 3.1. I think if Trump would have won by +5, Nevada actually would have ended up putting in Brown, but it ended up being like a 3-point margin for Trump, so he would have needed a little bit more of a push to be able to get him in. So it sucks because he had a chance. He really did. If Trump would have overperformed a tiny bit better, I do think Brown would have ended up winning. But it does suck it had to end this way. I do think Brown's a great candidate. Hopefully in some way he can be a part of either Trump's administration or maybe a House of Representative or just something that could really help him out because he is a really great candidate. It just sucks it had to end that way. And then to bring up some other races, I did want to talk about the next one, probably Wisconsin, I think. Yeah, I think Wisconsin's the one I want to talk about. Yeah. So if you look at Wisconsin here, Eric Hovde literally came within almost a point to beat Tammy Baldwin in a state like Wisconsin. And this is a sad thing. I thought Wisconsin would do incredible with Trump. Wisconsin always does incredible with Trump every single election year when Trump's on the ballot. But if you look right here, Hovde did lose by 0.9. It was expected to lose by 1.8. But if you look right here, how much Trump won Wisconsin by, he won by 0.8. And remember, Trump almost always overperforms in the state of Wisconsin. Like if you look right here, Trump did like a 6-point advantage. The other one, he also did a little bit above a 6-point advantage. Wisconsin's always horribly polled, but this time around, it was pretty good and pretty accurate. And it's very surprising to see, but I guarantee you if it was a 6-point margin just like usual, or even a 2-point margin, I do think Hovde would have actually ended up winning this race. And it's very sad because I really thought it was going to happen. I thought this would have happened, especially because of how Wisconsin is polled. But polling somehow in the state of Wisconsin has changed for the good. But at the same time, it is very sad because Hovde had a literal shot at winning this race. There was a chance, but it just didn't end up happening. And then Michigan. We're going to go to Michigan now. So if you look at Michigan here, literally Mike Rogers. Mike Rogers came within 0.3 to win the state of Michigan. And this is Michigan. Remember, this is Michigan. He came within 0.3 winning the Michigan Senate race. And if you look right here, literally 0.3, and he was expected to lose by 2.3. If he would have got a little bit more of a push, he would have won this race. It's sad because it was literally within a point percentage of him actually ended up winning. Like Michigan could have went to the Republicans. And then if you look right here, how much Trump overperformed, he didn't do incredible. He got 1.5. So Michigan voted in line for the most part when it came to down ballot. So if Trump would have got a 2-point advantage or a little bit better, I do think Michigan would have voted in Rogers. Rogers would have won this race. It's crazy that literally because of that, it didn't end up happening. If Michigan would have voted for Trump a tiny bit better, literally Slotkin would have actually lost. It's just crazy to see how close a lot of these races are. And then the biggest surprise out of all of them, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania won with David McCormick. And remember, I predicted this. I predicted this in my video. I did say I would get backlash, but I really thought that Dave McCormick could pull it off. I thought David McCormick was finally going to take down Bob Casey, and it happened. It happened by the skin of his teeth, but he did it. He won by 0.2. Like, he did incredible. Like, look at the advantage that Bob Casey had. Almost a 2-point advantage. And McCormick won it by 0.2. Like, that's just crazy to think. McCormick literally did an absolute menacing amount of work. Like, he did incredible. It's amazing how McCormick actually won this race. I'm happy I predicted it right. I'm really glad that he won the race. It just sucks because there could have been a better advantage here. We could have got more races in this race. We could have got Wisconsin. We could have got Michigan. We had a chance of getting Wisconsin and Nevada. Like we could have had Wisconsin, Michigan, and Nevada. I don't think we could have had Arizona, but we could have really had a like 56 majority here. 56 majority. We really could have had a 56 majority if Nevada, Michigan, and Wisconsin voted a little bit more right, but it does suck that it did have to end that way. But at the very least, we got 53 to 47. The reason this is massive is because 53 to 47, you got to remember, Lisa Murkowski's in the Senate, you got Susan Collins, and then whatever, if there's like one more rhino at random, you still can pass bills. Like that's a 50-50 split, even with the third advantage of a rhino, I guess. That's still a 50-50 split. And you still get bills passed through. That's the massive advantage of having a 53-47. Now, honestly, I'd rather have a 54 because it's more manageable, and we literally came within 0.3 to getting that. But I digress. At the very least, at least we won the Senate, and we won by an amount of a margin that you can actually get bills passed through without having to deal with Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins. So it is very nice to see this. I'm really, really happy that we ended up winning this many Senate seats. So it really does make me happy that we ended up doing it. And there's not really many other races to talk about here. I don't think any others really mattered too much. From what I can see, I really don't think so. I do think, I don't know about New Jersey. I just want to see. I don't think New Jersey overperformed in the Senate, but I just want to make sure. New Jersey did overperform pretty well in the Senate. They overperformed with Trump in the actual polling, but it is surprising how in line it was. Like 8.6 in New Jersey, even though it was expected to be an 18-19 margin. Like, that's just crazy. And then you see how Harris won by 4.9. You got to think about that. Harris won by 4.9 when she was expected to win by 12. Like, New Jersey in the future could really be a Republican state if the Trumpian politics still get pushed into it. If you keep pushing New Jersey, you really have a shot at winning that state now. That's also something I wanted to talk about. But really, there's not much else to talk about. I really want to talk about those races with you guys. We got a 53 to 47 margin, a massive margin for Trump. I wish we could have got one more. 54 would have been perfect. But the 53 is exactly what we need no matter what. So luckily we did get Pennsylvania. That was the big takeaway here. But it is a massive thing for Trump. It's a massive thing for the Republican Party. We got a sizable lead in the Senate. We got a sizable lead in the House. We got the presidency. We're doing a great job right now. And I cannot wait to talk about Trump's cabinet picks when that video does come out. I just got to wait for Trump to finish talking about his cabinet. I already have my documents up just to give you a sneak peek to talk about. What I'm going to be doing in the video when I do Trump's cabinet picks. I will be showing Trump's cabinet picks, and then I will also have a document set up that I made myself to talk about what specific things I like about each cabinet pick. Then I'm also going to give a grade on every single cabinet pick. And then at the end, I'm going to give a final grade on what I actually think the cabinet was graded overall. and it's really interesting. I know some people might not like that because it's really in depth, but I think it's kind of cool because I mean it is interesting to finally see something good in politics. Finally, see Trump back in office and get to talk about the nitty gritty. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to talk about this with you today. I finally wanted to get it off my video schedule because I've been just waiting on the New York Times. My next video will probably be about the repeal of the Alaskan voting thing, like the ranked choice voting. Either way, even if it fails or passes, I will make the video no matter what. I just want to talk about it regardless. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys do enjoy this video. Please like the video if you do like the video, and I cannot wait to push out more content for you guys in the future. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.